Okay, nobody talks about this, maybe because if you dare criticise a Porsche 911 on the internet, people will tear to shreds. But when you talk to seriously experienced Porsche specialists, like the guys that know what it's like to actually own a 911, maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be. And look, I, like I'm sure you, have always wanted a 911. But when I was telling a few mates about our mutual desire for all things Porsche 911, yeah, they said, no, don't do it. And unfortunately, it does make sense to listen to my mates because they have a combined 108 years of Porsche experience. But while they're potentially about to destroy our hopes and dreams when it comes to 911s, don't stress because they're also going to be telling us the other cars we should buy or at least lust after instead. Gentlemen, first question. Obviously, Auto House Hamilton specialises in Porsches. Warning us off 911s surely can't be great for business. Why are you telling us about the negatives of 911 ownership?
It's not warning people off, it's more just opening people's eyes. I speak to hundreds, if not thousands of people looking at buying 911s. Then they often don't heed all of the advice. They go buy a car without getting it checked, without getting anybody to hold their hand. And then I see them in our service department tearing up quite literally because this man's told them everything that should have been done to that car before they bought it, and they weren't aware of that, so they're very sad, and often they'll blame me because somehow that becomes our fault.
Yeah.
But not only that, though, I think people are these days underestimating what things cost.
Yeah.
So they think probably what used to cost $300 is now $2.5 or $3,000.
Yeah.
You know, so the prices of everything have gone exponentially higher.
Sure.
So I would much prefer to have a conversation with someone that is prepared for that than to shock them and then I'm the worst guy in the world because I'm telling them the truth that they don't want to hear because they've just bought this new fancy object that they think is amazing and I just ruin their day.
That's where it comes back to getting a pre-purchase inspection done.
Yep.
On anything that you're going to look at. You know, you don't go and see your local vet to buy a racehorse. You go and find someone that's familiar with thoroughbreds, has 20 years experience and knows exactly what can go wrong and what can go right.
Yeah.
You've got to do the same with the Porsches.
As a hardcore 911 lover, air-cooled stuff is where my love and desire came from initially. What are the biggest misconceptions you guys see with air-cooled 911s?
I think there's the perception that 911s are indestructible because they're very reliable and they've been doing the same thing for such a long time. Therefore, if I buy one, nothing could possibly go wrong. And as long as it's shiny when I buy it, nothing can go wrong. But we know that's not true.
Yes, that's rubbish, essentially. I mean, the problem is it's just like, they were built a lot better than most cars, I would say that, definitely. And they definitely stand the test of time compared to a lot of other makes and models, but there's people finding cars in barns or sheds or whatever. They'll bring them out, they'll give them a wash, make them look shiny, and then there's still the suspension's 30, 40, 50 years old. All the rubber bushes are perished. Everything's so again same deal. Oh, it looks great. I call these cars mudguards. They're shiny on top, but they're shit underneath. People think, wow, that's shiny, and they love it and they buy it, and then I'm again ruining their world because 40 years of stuff underneath is still 40 years underneath. That's why. You just got to be careful. You got to go in with your eyes open, and it's a much better outcome if that's the case.
In terms of the air-cooled stuff, tell us some of the horror stories. What are some of the worst things you've seen?
Oh, look, probably rust is probably the biggest one, but they're no worse than any other classic car these days that's 30, 50 years old. You know, your Ferraris, Aston Martins, all those types of things. They're all subject to the same issues. But probably the most expensive one to set right would be chassis rust.
What are we looking at in terms of price? Like, say one comes in, obviously it's going to depend on how much rust is there.
Yeah, exactly. You'll very quickly spend anywhere between $15,000 and $120,000, just like that. The numbers are now scary. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't so bad 15 years ago. People were doing things a little bit cheaper, maybe not the best quality, but now because of the price of the cars, because of all of these reasons, things are just horrendously expensive. And so what we're trying to tell people is not don't buy one, but just understand what you're buying is our big message to everybody, because it can be horrible.
I know we've had discussions before about you guys having a lot of the job can be fixing other people's improvements or
Yeah.
restoration. Tell us some stories about that.
Probably the scariest story we had last year was a gentleman who bought a near new 911, very high, expensive, and again, came here because it wasn't driving correctly, and you had to give him the bad news. Now, he'd spent around $500,000 to purchase this car, and you found it fairly significantly twisted.
It was 12 mil different from side to side. The previous owner happened to own a panel shop. He'd shunted the car on the track, decided without insurance, so he had to go and try and fix it himself, and then he moved it to some other poor unsuspecting person who said something doesn't seem right, and so when I measured it all up, it was literally shorter on one side than the other.
And the problem there was the car was only a couple of years old. So you automatically assume a 2-year-old car, nothing could possibly go wrong with it. It must be fine. And you priced a shell change
It
for
needed
him.
a shell. Essentially, it needed a complete reshell.
What was that? How much was that?
Oh, it was.
You wouldn't do it.
Essentially, it was. You'd go and buy another car.
It was another $500,000 on top of the purchase. So that's probably our biggest single mistake that we've seen in the last 12 months.
And it looked fantastic.
Sitting in front of you, you wouldn't tell.
Like a new car.
You would think that it's mint until you put it on a hoist and started looking at things and going, hang on a minute.
Or drove it.
Or drove it because it just drove.
That's a massive mistake.
And I suppose that's, like, again, back to the air-cooled stuff, I suppose that's where it's getting so risky because they are becoming investment opportunities. Mechanically, what are we looking at in terms of engine rebuild?
I was going to say my nastiest one in the last few years with a chap who'd been dealing with us for quite a long time and was looking 993, 964. Eventually found the 964 of his dreams at a private sale in Melbourne. Brought it here, asked us to help him with New South Wales registration and so on, and then to do the next service. And you did a full engine rebuild and rebuilt calipers and a whole lot of other stuff. And
So 85 grand later.
But if you knew it was 85 and you'd bought it $85,000 cheaper, fine, get the work done and have the car of your dreams.
It really is becoming almost, you get what you pay for, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like in a sense, if you really know, you know, and you're always going to pay a little bit more for one that some guys spent an utter fortune on making it all right. So you're way better off buying that car than you are a project car, so to speak.
How much are you looking at in terms of an air-cooled 911 that is, let's say, an investment opportunity? Obviously, we're not financial experts and it is a pretty interesting market. But how much are you looking at spending to get something to go, no, this is mint, this is great, this is going to go up in value, hopefully?
Scott and I get the question, which Porsche can I buy and make money out of? Well, if we knew the answer to that, we'd be doing it and not talking to you at the moment.
We'd travel back 15 years at
We-
least.
and I'd probably go and buy some Optus shares instead. So if it's all about that, and sometimes it comes back to a lifestyle asset, buying something that actually makes you smile. Buying a car that resonates and makes you smile. It would be like going on a holiday to a country that you don't like because the holiday was cheap. That would be nonsensical. I think you just do what makes you smile, because I still maintain, I bet you can't remember exactly how much you paid for your first car, but that car's still in your dreams somewhere because you had so many great life experiences with it. And I really think that's, cars should make you smile. And if they make you cry in the service department, then fundamentally you made a mistake.
Let's move into the water-cooled stuff, the more recent 911s, 996 onwards. What are the biggest misconceptions with the more recent 911s?
Probably that they're poorly made, and they're not really, apart from a few issues that we've had, like IMS bearings and things like that. Once you get the engines right, or you get an IMS solution or something of that kind into a 996, 300, 320 horsepower, whether it's Series 1 or Series 2, they are a proper sports car. They're fantastic cars. They handle beautifully, they brake, they go around corners. They're great cars.
And like Scott said, if you deal with the IMS and various other things, then it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But you're right too, they're nice to drive. You can take your partner away for a weekend. You can do a track day for Harley Davidson, Ducati type money.
In terms of 996, 997, 991, 992, any horror stories there? Anything we need to be on the lookout for?
It's just the same as air-cooled, really. We've had a bunch of imported 996s.
Sure.
Again, people bought one at auction. We had one guy that came up here and you could actually put your fist through a hole in the floor point the floor and the jacking point. So, like, it was just rotten. So you've got to be really careful if you're buying it from an import. So say it's an import from a country where they're using a lot of salt on the roads. Yeah. The exhaust system's rotten. The floor itself rots out. Yeah. So you still got all the shock absorbers and things like that. Any of the where you're getting salt spray and stuff on them, they just rot.
Also, the water cooled, again, 996, 997, 991, 992. Are they as reliable as the internet leads us to believe, or is it going to send us all bankrupt?
991 for 911 would probably, for someone having to buy it on a bit of a budget, would probably be my pick out of all of those cars.
Yeah,
the engine family's fantastic.
Yeah.
We had a 2012 991 convertible in the other day with 154,000 Ks on it. And the interior of that car, all the switchgear, everything looked as good as another 991 we had sitting there with 50,000 K on it. They wear extremely well.
The 99, I'd say that generation is.
Last month there was one on car sales with 397,000 kilometres, 397.
Yeah, that's the car we service that car.
Yeah,
that's the black one.
Black one.
Yeah, we've serviced that car, and it literally, we haven't had to do a whole lot, I've got to say. Yeah. It surprised me.
Yeah.
It surprised me that it's done that mileage, and it's actually
it works.
If you had to pick a specific model to go, you know what, this is a safe in the air-cooled early stuff.
Yeah. 3.2 Carrera.
Yeah, 3.2
I was going to say, yes. 3.2 Carrera. 3.2 Carrera, mate, I don't know why. They're just go. Well, you can't break them. They're hard to break.
They're all sort of between, 130 and 200-ish.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who can go, I can put that sort of, knowing that the car isn't going to depreciate, and keep it as a toy.
Yeah.
As you've always said, you can leave them on a trickle charger for 6 months and put a key and broom and off you go.
The 3.2 is simple, so it's quite a simple car.
Yeah. So, power steering, no ABS braking.
Yeah, there's not all.
So in terms of like keeping it running, it's not like you're buying a vintage Lamborghini.
No.
As soon as it went to Motronic and electronic fuel injection and got away from the old K-Jet systems, they've been great. You've got this fantastic parts catalogue that runs all the way from 74 all the way up to 1989.
It's exactly the same.
90-80% of it's all interchangeable.
Yeah.
So it's not only Porsche you have to buy everything from. There's a lot of aftermarket OEM-style manufacturers out there reproducing these items at a really, really good cost.
Water-cooled stuff.
Yeah.
What do we go for? What's the pick amongst that?
The 2003 Boxster or something like that. Everyone takes the piss out of them and says, oh, they're this and they're that, and they're a hairdresser's car and yada yada yada. Well, I'd challenge people to drive them. Go and drive one around a country road and go, holy, because they actually bang for buck because they're not a lot of money, and they deliver a really good
driving experience.
Yeah. They're still analog. They go round corners sensationally well. The missus loves it because she's got the roof down and the wind in the hair, and it's just a good car.
But 996s are sort of at the beginning point of a 911, and they're cheap and they're great value for money. If you get a well-sorted one there, you can drive one daily. They're good things.
Just buy a Carrera S in a 997 Gen 2 or go up one step and buy a 991.
Yeah, you can do that.
What about this moving away from Boxers, Caymans, 911s, 944, 968, 928 thoughts? Is that an area you'd almost recommend going if you haven't quite got the money to spend on a 911? Like, I know the 911 tax is a thing, or is it just worthwhile going, just buy a Boxster?
Jump into a Boxster Cayman. I think the driving reward a Boxster Cayman gives you for the amount of money is fantastic. As soon as you're jumping into a 944 S2 and 968, they're great, and I sold them new, and I have a real love of them. We're dealing with 30 and 40-year-old cars now.
The problem with those is literally the cost, because they're an old car now and they're a lot older than a Boxster. The cost of maintenance and what's required, the level of maintenance that a 944, i.e. cam belts, water pumps, all that sort of stuff. You end up having to spend quite a considerable amount of money reasonably regularly.
It's 911 money.
It is 911 money.
Yeah. Okay, obviously the internet is blowing up with resto mods and huge modification 911s and stuff like that. Your opinions on factory versus resto mod Which I suppose goes into the same realm of ultra modified.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Like I say, my take on all of that is, look, they have their place. Everything has their place. But I'm telling you right now, if you buy an SC and you make it really nice, you're going to have a whole lot more money left in your pocket, obviously, than a big Resto mod. But the driving experience, Resto mods do it. You can do a million mile an hour in them. They're really fast. They're really this. They're really that. They're all really, really good. But having a nice original SC or a nice 3.2 or a nice 3-litre Carrera or anything like that, and if they've been restored or looked after really, really well, they're an amazing drive.
Yeah,
they really are.
The reason you should be doing this is because it makes you smile. So if you want to build a high-performance track machine and go and do Targa or track days, and that's your thing, and you want a picture of you wearing a crash helmet and a Hans device and it makes you happy and smile, fantastic. If you want the most original 356 and you want to roll down to Balmoral Beach for a cup of coffee and that makes you smile, fantastic. We only have X amount of time on the planet. Spend more of it smiling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's like Grant said, just factory is very, very good.
It really
We've got
is.
plenty of customers. We've got customers that own all the way across the year. As they own a Singer, they might have, like Grant said, an SC or a 3.2 Carrera. They've got 356s as well. And they own all of those cars because they enjoy them in different ways. But if I had to hear one thing more often than not, it's customers with the high-end, high-performance modern cars saying, you know what, it's probably just a bit too quick for me these days on the roads. I'll go and get an SC or a 3.2 that I can at least get to the end of third gear in with 6,500 RPM on the clock, and I'm not looking at being locked up for 6 months. So we had a lot of customers with the modern cars coming back and looking at air-cooled cars for that reason.
Yeah, it is, and
You can have fun with them.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. That's it. They make the right noise. They do it. The feeling is that it's all of that. Like Ant says, makes you smile, and you're not going to tear your license up.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't been really, really good in the first place, this wouldn't still exist. We wouldn't still be talking about them.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I think it is the visceral. Is it? That's the right word? Is it a visceral experience? Is that the right word?
Absolutely.
It's that,
Yeah.
right? And then that's what I think we've lost along the way, and a lot of people are now realising, geez, we sort of need to get back to that a little bit, you know?
Cars have become almost too good, too fast and too easy.
Yep. Yeah.
And sometimes just a bit of work is fun, and as you said, 6,500 revs, and for a minute you know that you're Steve McQueen.
We'll wrap it up, the 3 top tips you've got for 911 buyers.
Right. The one that I normally say, and Scott laughs as they say, is get a PPI. Make sure you remember to get a pre-purchase inspection. And when you're standing at the service department tearing up because you didn't, and I laugh, don't hit me.
Great.
Yeah, look, again, it's get a PPI from someone reputable that knows what they're talking about, and also do your homework. I'd say do your research, do your homework.
Yeah. Scott?
Buy the best car that you can possibly buy that fits within your budget, and buy it on a mechanical basis rather than not choosing something because it's not quite the colour you wanted, or because the driver's seat has a little bit more wear on it. These are all, we're not going to change colours, but other little bits and pieces of things that you can put right so easily for not a lot of money. But go and buy that car which has already had the engine rebuild, the Australian delivered car without any rust, just the absolute best car that you can buy mechanically, and then worry about the other little things later on.
Yeah, little things can be fixed easily.
Yeah.
So are you now left completely heartbroken, or are you even more enthusiastic to buy a 911? If you are, which 911 are you going to buy? Or would you buy something else? Let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, smash that subscribe button.